Welcome to class. Right now, we're going to explore a current event that lit up the sky and maybe even your spirit. April's pink moon. This beautiful moon was more than just a visual treat. It carried cultural, spiritual, and scientific meaning. In today's lesson, you're about to improve your vocabulary, your grammar, and your comprehension, all while learning about the world around you. So head to the comment section right now, click the link to the article, and let's go!
April 13th, 2025. Stargazers around the world enjoyed a dazzling sight this weekend as April's pink moon reached its peak brightness on Saturday, April 12th.
It's peak brightness. That means the brightest that it ever was at that moment while the moon was rising.
At 8:22 p.m. Eastern Time. This full moon, named after the blooming pink phlox flowers of spring, is a reminder of the season's renewal and beauty. Despite its name, the moon itself does not appear pink. The title comes from Native American traditions and early almanacs that tied moon names to seasonal changes.
So despite the title of this article, it's still not clickbait. It's called the pink moon, but the moon is not actually pink.
This year's pink moon was also a supermoon, meaning it appeared larger and brighter than usual. Supermoons occur when the moon is at its closest point to Earth in its orbit, creating a striking display in the night sky. The event coincided with warming spring evenings in the northern hemisphere, making it an ideal time for moonlit walks and outdoor gatherings. The pink moon holds special meaning in many cultures. In Native American traditions, it marked the arrival of spring blooms. Spiritually, it symbolizes growth, renewal, and balance.
All right, so here in this article, we see that this moon has significance to spirituality and also to culture.
Astrologically, this year's pink moon occurred in Libra, a sign associated with harmony and relationships. It encouraged reflection on personal connections and finding balance in life. For Christians, this full moon is also known as the Paschal moon because it determines the date of Easter. This alignment highlights its importance across both spiritual and cultural practices.
All right, so we see that it has not only religious, traditional, and spiritual connections, as well as cultural. We also heard from this article that they were astrological connections. So astronomy is involved, and it's not in the Bible, but it says something about Christianity being involved as this ties into the Easter season.
Observers worldwide marveled at the moon's brilliance as it illuminated the sky for several nights. For those who missed it, the next full moon will occur on May 12, 2025, known as the flower moon. Whether admired for its scientific rarity or its symbolic meaning, April's pink moon offered a moment of wonder and connection with nature's rhythms.
All right, I'm sorry. And actually, I don't want to say that it's not in the Bible because the Bible talks about many different examples of types of moon risings and types of lights in the sky. So I don't want to say it's not in the Bible exactly, but in relation to Christianity, this article is implying that the moon, the April pink moon that we just saw, was also a part of some type of religious tradition. So here's a quick summary of the article. Basically on April 12, 2025, people around the world, they watched the pink moon shine brightly in the sky. Now, even though it's called pink moon, the moon is not actually pink. The name comes from spring flowers and some Native American traditions. So this year was also a supermoon. So at the same time of this traditional pink moon rising was also a supermoon which means it looked much bigger and brighter than usual. The moon is also important in many spiritual and cultural traditions, as we just heard. Now, we're not here to get into the spiritual and cultural traditions much, but we are here to learn English. So we're going to look at some key vocabulary from the article. So at this point, I just want you to write one sentence or try to speak one sentence for each word that you learn from this article. So you're going to use your own ideas and you're going to try to form a sentence. So our first word is supermoon, and it's a full moon that looks bigger and brighter, appearing larger because it's closer to the earth. And we have an example here. The supermoon looked enormous above the city skyline. So use that word supermoon in your own sentence. You could either write it down in a notebook, in the comments, or feel free to speak them out. The next vocabulary word we're going to cover from this article is symbolize. Symbolize. And that means to represent something with meaning. For example, the full moon symbolizes peace and reflection for many cultures. Again, you want to take this word symbolize and create your own sentence using your own ideas. Next, we have spiritual. Spiritual. And spiritual means being connected to beliefs or feelings. Anytime you think about inner growth, we're thinking about spiritual. So an example, some people feel spiritual energy during a full moon. And our last vocabulary word here is tradition. Tradition. And that's a belief or behavior passed down through generations. It's something people do regularly in their culture. For example, watching the pink moon is a tradition in many families. So that was just a little warm-up activity. I'm asking you to write down a sentence with those vocabulary words in them. But our real vocabulary practice activity is right here. So we're going to look at these various videos and images. And what I want you to do is pick the correct word that you believe represents the image or the video. Right? Pick the correct word. I'm going to play this one more time. You notice we have some people playing drums, dressed in certain costumes. Another group of people gathered around them. Which word do you think represents this video or image? Is it supermoon, symbolize, spiritual, or tradition? Let's move on to the next one. About this video right here. Feel free to grab a partner if it's possible, and you guys could practice speaking about each video and saying which word you feel it is. Does this image or video represent supermoon, symbolize, spiritual, or tradition? All right, moving on to our third video clip. Such a majestic atmosphere there. Does this view represent spiritual, symbolize, tradition, or supermoon? All right, we got one more. Bear with me. And we still have a whole lot to learn on the agenda. This is just our final vocabulary word that we're going to focus on. And look at the image. You see 4 different images actually creating a collage. And what do you believe they represent? Keyword is actually represent there. So do these images represent spiritual, tradition, symbolize, or supermoon? All right, let's get into our grammar focus now. We're going to be dealing with one of my favorite topics, prepositions of time and place. So I really love teaching the different prepositions and using images, to try to ask you to recall which one of these words would best fit either the time or location of a certain object in a picture or in a video. So we're going to focus on prepositions of time and place today. And they're pretty much very small words like in, at, on, during, before, after, above, but they carry very big meaning. So here's some examples from the article. The full moon peaked at 8:22 p.m. And we could see the word at in this sentence is representing a preposition of time at 8:22 p.m. Another example from the article, people gathered under the night sky. So we have the word under as a preposition of place, and it's telling us about a location of the people in that sentence. When you work with prepositions of time and place, some quick reminders, you just want to make sure you're using the word at for specific times. For example, 6 o'clock, or in this sentence right now, 8:22. And for specific days, you want to say on. For example, on Saturday, I had a day off from work. And for months, you want to use the word in. The seasons, the years, or months in general, you want to use the word in. For example, in April or in spring. All right, you guys ready to do some practice about this? All right, we're going to follow the grammar focus rules that we just talked about. But now it's your turn. I want you to choose the correct preposition to complete each sentence. You want to complete the following sentences using the correct prepositions. Now you have options under each example, so feel free to choose one of those options, and your goal is to make the sentence make sense. All right, number 1, the moon reached its peak brightness blank 8:22 p.m. Which preposition do you think goes in the blank? The moon reached its peak brightness blank 8:22 p.m. All right, let's look at number 2. We watched the moon blank the backyard. We watched the moon blank the backyard. Which option do you think fits in that blank? Is it in, on, or at? All right, let's do 2 more examples. Feeling warm? You feeling ready? Let's do these 2 examples here. Question number 3. The pink moon occurs blank April. I gave you a little hint about a minute and a half ago, so if you want to rewind it and catch the hint, it'll help you with number 3. The pink moon occurs blank April. What word do you think goes in the blank? In our last example, they went for a walk blank the full moon rose. They went for a walk blank the full moon rose. Is that above, near, or in? All right, feel free to pause the video here and write your answers down. And then you could check below once you're ready to catch the answers or press play. And I'm ready to say the answers now, all right? So here's the big reveal. For number 1 was at, number 2, in, number 3, in, and number 4 was before. And before is, yes, before. All right. So before was the choice for number 4. All right, let's do a quick comprehension check. We're going to do a multiple choice activity for about 2 questions here, maybe more. We just want to see if you understand the article. You know, we have a few questions here. You're going to choose A, B, C, or D. Choose that correct answer for each one. And there's even an excerpt attached so you can see where the actual question came from in relation to the article. So question number 1, what is the pink moon named after? What is the pink moon named after? Right? You're going to choose A, B, C, or D. Let me read the excerpt. This full moon named after the blooming pink phlox flowers of spring. So that's what our article tells us, the excerpt. Now, which choice will you choose? Is it A, its color, B, a type of flower, C, a planet, or D, an ancient poem? Right, should I give you the answers here? Or, you know what, I'm going to let you try to figure that out. If you really want to know the answer desperately, if you can't figure it out, feel free to timestamp that in the comments and, you know, somebody will answer it for you. All right, let's look at our next question. What is a supermoon? What is a supermoon? Now, excerpt says supermoons occur when the moon is at its closest point to Earth in its orbit, creating a striking display. So what is a supermoon? Is it A, moon that appears green, B, a moon during an eclipse, C, a moon that looks larger and brighter, or D, a moon that rises at noon? All right, again, we're going to reveal the answers in the comments. Somebody could handle that for me. If not, if you have a question and nobody answered it, feel free to let me know in the comments and we can give you the responses, the correct responses for these slides. Question number 3, when did the pink moon peak? When did the pink moon peak? Was it A, April 1st, B, April 12th at 8:22 p.m. Eastern Time? Was it C, April 20th at noon, or D, May 12th? Right? This question comes from the excerpt. April's pink moon reached its peak brightness on Saturday, April 12th at 8:22 p.m. Eastern. Notice the answer's right there in the text. If you read the excerpt, all you have to do is choose the correct choice that matches that excerpt perfectly. All right, question 4, and this is our last one for multiple choice. Which of these is not true about the pink moon? So notice the word not is in all caps, and what that's telling us is we have to focus on that word when it comes to the question. Not true, meaning something that is false. So we're looking to choose an answer that is false, meaning out of these 4 choices, 3 of them are true, but only one of them is not. Is it A, it symbolizes renewal? B, it is always pink? C, it is a cultural event? Or D, it can be a supermoon? Let's read the excerpt and see if we can figure it out. The excerpt is our friend right now. Despite its name, the moon itself does not appear pink. We're going to get into our favorite part. Well, my favorite part, and I know it's yours too on the low. I know it's your favorite part too. We're going to dive into the 5 W's. Who, what, where, when, and why. And of course, for my geniuses out there, we also have how. So we're going to answer these questions in complete sentences, and we're basing everything off of the article that we just read. Again, that article link is in the comments. Let's first go with who. Who enjoyed the pink moon? Right? And our answer is stargazers. Stargazers around the world enjoyed the pink moon. Now you may feel free to take this question and then answer it in your own way. For example, instead of stargazers, you can find a different word to represent stargazers. Instead of around the world, you can find a similar term or a similar phrase to say. So feel free to use these answers and create your own answers based off the ideas. And I'm even more excited if you're able to create your own 5 W's questions. All right, so my examples are only here to help you with this activity, but for you to get the most out of the 5 W's and this news story, what you want to do is create your own questions using who, what, when, where, and why, and you want to answer those questions. Let's look at the example for what. What is a supermoon? What is a supermoon? Right? And we see that a supermoon is a moon that appears larger and brighter. Moon that appears larger and brighter. So it was a supermoon appearing larger and brighter. Feel free to create your own question using the what question word and use your own answers as well. All right, next question. Where did the pink moon, sorry, let me read that again. Where could people see the pink moon? Where could people see the pink moon? Right? And as you can see, our answer here is across the globe. So people across the globe or around the world could see the pink moon. When did it reach its peak brightness? When did the pink moon reach its peak? And our when answer is April 12th, 2025 at 8:22 p.m. That's when the pink moon reached its peak brightness. And our why question, why is it called the pink moon in the first place? Why is this called a pink moon? And we learned from the article and the video that it's named after blooming pink flowers of spring. So a great skill to practice right now would be to take all of your responses from the 5 W's and to try to turn them into one sentence. How do you do that? You can just write your answers for each of the 5 W's in a notebook, or you could type them into a document. And then Feel free to tie them all together. You can start with the when or the where, and you're trying to make one coherent sentence using all the responses. Right, another activity you can do, practicing it asynchronously. You could, like I said, write your own 5Ws questions, based on the article. For example, who watched the pink moon was a who question. And then, you're changing your answers. You're trying to match your questions to the answers that we just discussed here. And you're going to come up with your own based on the article. And for my Gulshanas out there and my Emils, don't forget the H question. How did the pink moon get its name? Or another how question that can tie into your sentence for the 5Ws. That's only for my scholars out there, all right? Go ahead, give it a shot in the comments if you think you're a scholar. All right, so let's do a little reflection here with the writing prompt. It's basically a good time to reflect on what full moons mean to you, your family, your culture. Do you have any traditions or memories related to the moon and the night sky? Go ahead, take your time. You're going to write a paragraph and try to use some of the vocabulary words and maybe some of the words from the prepositions of time and place. You want to tie all of our activities together right now to try to boost your English skills. All right, try reading your paragraph aloud when you finish, and then you want to check for your fluency. All right, so your paragraph can be about 5 to 6 sentences. If you really want to get deep and philosophical with me, answer this question for me. Do you think science and spirituality mix? Why or why not? Do you think those two mix, science and spirituality? Why or why not? I would love to have this discussion with you. Let me know in the comments your response to it. And for the big heavy hitters out there that are determined to speak English clearly, that are determined to understand every word they read, and that are determined to understand different points of view from different people, I have an optional homework assignment for you. Find a news article in your native language about a similar event. So you want to look for pink moon in your own native language and try to find an article based on that. And then you want to try to summarize that article in English using the 5Ws and some of the new vocabulary words that we learned. Again, after you write something down that's so deep and that's so full of skill, you want to record that, all right? You want to record the summary, listen to it, and see if you could explain it to someone else, all right? So you're finding a news article in your own language, in your own native language, and you want to try to summarize it using the 5Ws. Basically, like the activities we did today in English, you want to do that with your article, and feel free to send me the link to that article as well. Great work today. You explored real news. That was a real news article. You learned new vocabulary words. You were able to practice grammar. And we reflected on how nature connects us all. So the pink moon might be gone for now, but your progress in English, that shines bright. So keep practicing, keep reflecting, and keep learning. You're doing an amazing job, okay? I'll see you next lesson.